Greetings to one and all. We are pleased to announce that Queens Valley School is hosting today's webinar on law and career option. I am Shraddha Srivastav and
I am Ananya Batra.
And we will be moderating today's event. But before starting with anything, we would like to do a very quick equipment check with Gaurav sir. Gaurav sir, if you could please turn on your microphone and camera. Our student council member Vaishnavi here will guide you through the check.
Very great. My video seems to be working fine. And also the audio. Vaishnavi?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, sir. Sir, I would request you to please switch on your camera once so that we can do a little video check. Yes, sir. So if you could please say something.
So, good morning. Is that
yes,
a
sir,
good thing to start with? They're good?
Yes, sir. I can clearly hear you now. Thank you so much, sir.
Good. So we have a successful equipment check.
Yes, sir.
Great.
So, sir, if there's any help you require with respect to the technical stuff, I will be present throughout the course of the meeting to help you and your team. We hope you have a great session.
Thank you, sir. This session is being held for the parents and students of classes 10 to 12th in order to inform them of law and legal studies as a viable career option for the Queens and the scope of the said career in today's times. In a world with new employment options emerging every day, it is essential that we stay up to date on the ones we are truly interested in order to stay abreast with the trends of this ever-changing job market.
Today, we are joined by Mr. Gaurav Batara, CEO of AB Education, with over 25 years of professional experience in quasi-legal contracts and maritime management operation and legal experience at top international levels. Mr. Batara has trained and mentored over 4,000 students to join top NLUs in India and over 400 students to join top international law universities in the United Kingdom and the US. Phenomenally, he has been listed in Forbes back-to-back the last 2 years. He was listed in Forbes list 2021 as one of modern India game changers and in Forbes list 2022 in Pride of India. We are honored to have you here with us today, sir.
I would also like to thank the students and parents for joining us today for this webinar, and I hope we all leave with some amazing food for thought. I will now run you through the set of instructions for the day. All attendees to note that they remain muted during the session. Please drop your questions for the speaker in the meeting chat. All questions will be addressed in the question-answer session. You may also raise your hand as a request to unmute yourself in the question-answer session.
Let us now commence with the session we have all been so eagerly waiting for. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shraddha and Ananya, for a wonderful introduction. And today is the weekend and everybody's at home and it's raining outside, so perfect surroundings and ambience for a session. Okay. I also want to thank the school, particularly the principal, Dr. Namita Sharma, for making this possible. Right now, because of my busy schedules, it is not so easy for me to take sessions. But due to the personal interest shown by the school, I'm here to address the students and parents today. Primarily, we will be talking about three things here. First will be law as a career. What is going on? Why is law suddenly become so sought after? Why is it in the last 10 years, suddenly now it's the highest paying profession? What has actually changed in the last 10 years? So that is the first thing that we are talking about. Some of the lesser known aspects that you may not be aware of, about this profession and career. Second is that I will tell you about the gateways. That means that at what stages, what levels you can enter the profession, and how do you do that, and then the gateways of exam. That means exam gateways, which are the exams, which are the colleges. You're welcome to keep asking me questions as we go along. I will try and answer them for you. I'm doing a webinar on Google Meet after a very long time, so I think there's somebody technical here who would help in case of any issues. We normally use Zoom, and of course, I will also be talking about CUCET, which is the common entrance. Because so to give you a brief background about ourselves and myself before I start. So we are actually India's first national law exam academy, started in 1994, and have trained over 4,000 students who are currently lawyers through top NLUs, and over 400 students that have gone abroad through us to do their LLBs and LLMs in various countries across the world. So that makes us India's only global law academy as well. That we have presence in UK, we have presence in Canada apart from India. And so we have our own offices. So we run end-to-end solutions for students who want to go abroad as well, apart from those who want to do in India. In India, students who want to do law, apart from getting them into the law school, we also handle their trajectory programs, internships from the second year onwards onto the LLM programs abroad as well. So we are the only company or the only academy in India that is doing this specialization. Okay, so let's start with our topic for today. And if I have time, and if students sort of want, I will also have a 10-minute interaction on any one topic that I will take from the comparative exam point of view and tell you the importance of how that same topic has been done in the school with you and how that same topic has to be done in a comparative exam scenario. So you'll understand the difference. The topic remains the same, but how in school it is approached and how in a comparative exam scenario it is approached. Okay? Good.
Sir, I am very sorry to interrupt you over here. But before we finally begin with this session, I would request our principal, Dr. Namita Sharma, to please address the attendees. And let's start this in a session on a good note.
Thank you so much, Shraddha, and thank you so much, sir, for being here. I would like to extend this welcome formally, because your presence and the kind of background and the knowledge base that you have, I think it is going to benefit our girls so much. And in the previous session, I was seeing that a major number of them were fascinated by the whole concept of law. And law is one upcoming thing which is not just very important, but also in fashion so much. So I hope that we are able to meet that, and with our Supreme Courts and courts and everybody coming up again and again with new statements and their involvement in everything, I think everybody wants to be a lawyer. As once upon a time everybody wanted to be a doctor, today everybody wants that at least one lawyer in the family. It makes you safe, it keeps you safe, and let that be a lollipop for them. I hope that a major chunk of our girls are able to make it a career and do well in life. All yours, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for those kind words of motivation, ma'am. That really sets the tone for this session. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
So I'll share with you something, about this on this context. So about 14 years back, I was taking a session in one of the schools, and it was in Gurgaon, and there was one girl, after the session, she met me and she said, "Sir, I really want to do law. And, I want to join the International Court of Justice, ICJ." So, I meet hundreds of students every month, and, sometimes I feel it's just excitement of a student and, over enthusiasm. So I said, fine. Her name was Gunjan, actually. So I said, fine, Gunjan. So she said, "Sir, if you will take me as your student, then under your mentorship, I'd like to prepare." I said, fine. So she started preparing. I think this is 2009, I think 2008, 2009. And the same year, she prepared with me and she got selected at NLU Delhi, the National Law University Delhi at Dwarka. And so she came and she thanked me and she said, "Sir, I want you to be my mentor throughout." I said, "Fine, wherever you need help, let me know." So she went through her university and scored very good marks. Her name is Gunjan Chawla, actually. She scored very good marks, and in fourth year, she came back to me with her mother. Actually, fourth year in. And her mother said, "Sir, she wants to now go to Paris to do her LLM. And I've told her Paris is not a safe place, but she's saying, no, let Sir decide." So I said, "Fine." So I said, "What do you want to do?" She said, "Sir, I want to do an LLM from Sciences Po Paris and Georgetown. There's a 2-year LLM co-op which is there, which actually is a short pathway into the United Nations, or job at United Nations." So she came and the mother said, "Sir, I told her not to go. I told her just to go to UK or US or something like that." So I asked her, I said, "What do you want to do?" She said, "Sir, you make me do this. You convince my parents. You convince my mother." So I said, "Okay, make sure that you're safe there and make sure that you don't, get into any trouble." She said, "Fine, sir." So I recommended to her mother, and the family takes my counsel very seriously. There are 3 other children of the family are also lawyers through my guidance. So I said, "Fine." So mother accepted and she went to Paris for 1 year, and then she went to Sciences Po in Georgetown for another year. And after she finished that, she actually got a job at the Georgetown International Center of Terrorism. She was one of the only Indians who got a placement there. And then after that, she went to International Court of Justice and became the first Indian woman to be a solicitor at International Court of Justice at Hague. And she called me up from there saying that, "Sir, see, I made that possible." So I said, "Brilliant," and very happy. And then after, I think 2 years, she came back to NLU Delhi. And now she's heading the Center for Intellectual Property and Governance at NLU Delhi. So what I'm trying to tell you is the seeds were sown just like this in an interaction that we're having, and what she took and what she made of it, I'm very proud to see her as where she has reached. Remember one thing. So before we start the actual subject matter, so there was this international conference that I was attending, and I was one of the keynote speakers, and and of course, as the other speakers were talking, the principal organizer came to me and she said, "Sir, your knowledge levels are much more than the speakers that are there. So I hope that you're not getting bored, and I hope that you'll be fine." I told her, it doesn't matter how much you take away from someplace. It is what you do from what you've taken away is what causes the change in your life. So I could have just, out of 100 things, I possibly knew 95, 97. But the 3 new things that I learned that day after listening to the co-speakers, panelists, what I did with that is what caused or causes the change in your life. Okay? So coming now to what law is all about and what is going on this. I am also a lawyer. I'm a trained lawyer from University College London, UCL. Does anybody know about UCL? Does anybody know about UCL, where it is? What is it popular, famous for, known for? Anybody? So University College London is currently ranked number 2 in UK after Oxford. So it's Oxford, UCL, Cambridge. UCL is also the place where Mahatma Gandhi went to do his law, and Dr. Ambedkar went to do his law. So I did my law from UCL in London, and then I worked abroad for about 13 years, and I worked in various countries all across the world. And at the age of 30, I became the head of a very big American company for Asia. And I was just 30 years old, or 29 rather. And at the age of 32, I left everything and I came back to India to get into education. So I don't suggest all of you do that, but each one's life path is different. And perhaps I was supposed to contribute to the thousands of students and to help them make their careers and lives, that perhaps my life's journey got me to come back to India. And for many, many years, so my batchmates and my classmates are now dean of universities all across the world. My classmates are heading global presidents of very big companies. For many, many years, they thought that I made a huge mistake by coming back, leaving such a huge international career. And for many, many years, I also thought that maybe I made a mistake, And it was only in 2017 or 18 when I got the Radio City Delhi Icon Award that I realized, no, it was not a mistake. And thereafter, I was invited by Harvard to become a member of the International Leaders Group. And thereafter, in 2020, I was listed in the Forbes magazine as one of modern India's game changers. And then repeated in 21 as Pride of India. So then I realized that yes, I didn't make a mistake. It was all for the better. So now what is going on? See, in law, the main thing is that in the last 10 years, there has been, I also have a PPT, but I'm not really sure how I can share that here. But at least let me talk, then we'll see what to do. So in the last 10 years, the economic development of India is currently what rank in terms of the FDI? Anybody? Does anybody know what is full form of FDI? Anybody here?
I would request the participants to please use the chat box to respond to Sir's question.
Or they can even speak out loud. There's no problem. So foreign direct investment, FDI. So India is the second largest FDI in the world. Now just think of it logically. If you're going to spend 1 crore, what is the first thing that you will do? You will ensure that you don't lose any of that money, isn't it? How much you make from it, that becomes a secondary issue. But the first is ensure that it doesn't get lost anywhere, right? So all these, imagine if you were sitting in Delhi and you were going to invest in Noida, how insecure you'd be, and you'd want to make sure everything is taken care of. Now imagine that there are foreign institutional investors from across the world who are parking funds into India. How much insecure would they be? So what they would do is they would look for qualified lawyers who could protect their investment. And this is the step one of why there are the requirements for qualified law professionals, because of this foreign direct investment coming into India. Second thing, let's say that you are investing 1 crore. Or 1 crore may not be a figure that you could think of. Let's say 10,000 rupees. Okay. So you get 10,000 rupees and you invest 10,000 rupees somewhere. Would you have any problems if I told you that please pay me 1,000 rupees and I will take care of your 9,000? Or give me 500 rupees, I'll take care of 9,500. You won't have any problem. So imagine somebody is investing $1 billion, that's about 7,500 crore. Do you think that that person will have any problem setting aside 15 crores, 20 crores to protect his 7,500? This is why a lot of times students ask me, so why are the salaries now become the highest in the country in law? It is because of this, because of the volume and because of the currency interchange, that the highest amount of salaries or the law is now suddenly in the last 5 to 10 years become the highest paying profession. Your starting salary from NLU Delhi is about lakh 20 a month. That's your starting salary when you're 22 years old, 21. And in the next 3 years, you could come up to as high as 5 to 7 lakhs per month. And within 10 to 12 years of practice in a corporate law firm, you could be earning as much as about 1 crore per year. This I'm talking of conservative. When I left my practice in 2002, 2003, I was earning 15 lakhs a month. If I would have continued, I would have been earning about 2 crores per month right now. I'm not telling you each of you is going to make that happen. Please don't think this is all dreams and all of that. You have to work hard for it. You have to plan yourself. But if you plan yourself, I can assure you that it will happen. Because out of the 4,000 of my students that are lawyers right now and 25 judges, I'm seeing this happen day in and day out. There's another student of mine called Vaishnavi Rao. She's now principal associate at Indus Law and she's about 30 now, 29, and she's earning 7 lakhs a month. So this draw, it's very important for you to understand where and how and why is this sudden high salaries coming. So you may say, okay, sir, you told us, now it's excellent. What about the future? In the next 30 years, this thing is going to keep growing. Why? Because we are expected to be in the top 3 economies in the next 10 years. As the economic development keeps happening, everything is going to keep continuing in the same manner. Second thing, in terms of the number of lawyers in the country, you have about, I think one lawyer for about 13,000 people right now in India. See, there are about 2 lakh law graduates that pass out each year. And out of those 2 lakh law graduates, about 50,000 of them join the bar. So as it is, 1.5 lakh of them are going into other things. May it be business, may it be in-house counsel, may it be civil services, may it be judiciary. So out of 2 lakhs, 1.5 as it is going elsewhere. Only 50,000 of them are joining the bar. Out of that, 10% are from the good law schools, which is about 5,000. Rest of them are from here and there. So for 5,000 lawyers, every year in India, we are adding about 1 crore people. So for 1 crore people, you have 5,000 lawyers coming. So you do the math yourself. The second thing is the pendency of cases which are there. In the lower judiciary, the pendency of cases right now is through the roof. The estimate right now, and about 3 years back, I was also special advisor to National Legal Services Authority, appointed by the CJI. Then I just told the CJI, I said it's very hectic for me because I also head this academy and AB tutorials. So I said it's very difficult for me to do both. So please, excuse me, but for about a year and a half, I was there and I was looking after 18,000 schools. As a special advisor, and all these legal right workshops which happen in your schools through judges and all that, this was all initiated under my suggestion. Also, the legal studies subject in the school was also introduced under my suggestion to the CBSE chairman many years back. So what I'm trying to tell you when I'm talking to you is that this is a brilliant profession. This is a brilliant way forward, but you have to properly plan and you have to then work towards your plan. Any dream will stay a dream and will not actualize into reality unless you put in the effort that is required with it. Does that make sense? This is what it's all about, and law is no different from this whole concept. So in the next, so the 15,000 lawyers, 15,000 judges is what is required right now to bring the pendency of cases down to 0. Another 15,000 lawyers are required for you to keep that figure at 0 and not go up again. And I have, like I said, I have young girls who've been my students who are working as judges now. In Dwarka court, I've got all across the country. So how does it happen? It happens the moment you decide, I want to do this. The moment you decide, see, of all these thousands of students, and I've got students working in the United Nations, I've got students working everywhere. The one thing common that I've seen in all of them is that they have made up this mind to achieve something. And they believe that we can do it. That is what is very important. So because of this pendency of cases, and of course one of the very peculiar things about law is that there is no retirement age. As a matter of fact, the older you get, the more sought after you get. And on the flip side of it, it is also one of the only professions where in about a year, 2 years of practice, you can get success. I had this very young junior of mine, and he became advisor to the Prime Minister's office, and he was just, I think, 32. His name is Sohan Mukherjee. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this is a profession where there are two things. There is no retirement age. At the same time, it doesn't matter. You can start achieving success much earlier on in life. But the rider to this is that you must be in that 10%. I told you, 5,000 lawyers. You have to be within that ambit of those 5,000 lawyers. And how to be within that ambit of 5,000 lawyers? Which are the law schools which form a part of that? That you can always reach out to me, and those who are more interested, I will give you further guidance on how to be amongst those 5,000 lawyers graduating out of the universities and joining the bar. Now, the other thing, what also is that in terms of the legal profession, see, engineering, medicine, architecture, etc., they are very limiting professions. That means once you've chosen something, then you're stuck there. With law, it's actually the opposite. That you can practice law in any branch of life and society. Every branch of life and society has it. I'll share with you another, why I'm sharing you these students is because these are actual students. So I have this very good friend of mine. He was the Vice Chancellor of Indian Law Institute, and he's now a member of UGC, also India's first Fulbright scholar. And he also became the director of IIM Lucknow. So his son had come to me for preparation, and he joined IP University. Very bright boy, and Srimant actually. And he got into IP, and he kept taking guidance from me, and in 5th year, he got a job with a law firm for 1 lakh rupees. This is about 2 years back. So his father called me up saying, "Sir, it is all because of you. He's got 1 lakh rupees job." I said, "Fine, everything is good. Enjoy life this time." After 3 months, his father called me up saying, "I'm bringing him for guidance, sir." I said, "What happened?" I said, "He's saying he doesn't want to work in an office. He wants to travel. And now he's got a job of 1 lakh a month. He's just 22 years. Where will he get a job like that?" So I said, "Okay, bring him." So I brought him. I said, "What do you want to do?" So he said, "Sir, I want to be near cars, and I want, to be near nature. I want to travel." So I told him, I said, "Sriman, now this is no longer the stage for dinky cars. You are young. You like the toy cars. Now you're grown up." He said, No, sir. You tell me I can't work in an office. I can't be behind a computer." So I said, "Fine, what you do is you apply for a legal position in the automobile industry in compliance." So he applied for BMW, Mercedes, Peugeot, some of the other automobile companies, and he got accepted at Peugeot Paris with a starting salary of 3.5 lakhs. Now, he wanted his interest, which was cars. He wanted to travel, which is exactly what he got. He would travel every week to a different country to look after the plant regulations, to make sure that they are following the local compliances, etc. So you see, the point I was telling you is the flexibility. After finishing law, after getting into a job, he suddenly realized, no, my interest areas are different, and still there was no problem. This is one single thing which draws thousands of students into the legal profession, that at any point of time you can change your work area and you won't have any kind of loss of seniority or loss of salary or anything. So this is in brief, in short, why law is currently the highest paying profession, why this whole shift towards law as a profession is happening. Now we come to the next part. Now, if anybody has any questions in between, you're welcome to ask me. Okay, there's no problem. You can just raise your hand and speak to me. So this in brief will tell you about why law is in so much demand. Now the other thing, so there are these BBA and all these courses are also there. Now what is happening in companies is that they feel that, see, an MBA can be done part-time, but a law can't be done part-time. Law is the only degree which has to be done full-time. So what happens is that if as a company you're hiring and you have two options in front of you, one is a BBA and one is a BBL, what will the company do? The company will hire a BBL. Why? Because they're getting a lawyer in exchange as well. So let's say for the BBA they pay 30,000, for a BBLB they'll pay 75,000. Why? Because they'll say that 1 lakh that they have to pay a lawyers dedicatedly to hire that lawyer. So therefore, even the students who wanted to do BBAs, etc., now they're opting for BBA LLBs. Because everybody is realizing that you want to keep yourself more open and not restrictive in your professional realm. So these are some of the things why in the last about 10 to 12 years, law is continued to rise, and in the next 20-25 years, it is going to keep rising. There's no problem. So it's not a saturating profession. Please go ahead and use this as a first or a second option. However, make sure that you're planning properly, because there is a little bit of competition now in law. It's no longer the way it used to be earlier. Now, when can you join law? What are the top law schools, etc., etc. See, and I also guide for overseas law programs. So this year we've got 79 students who are going to UK and US to do their LLBs and LLBs. So those of you who are interested in overseas law, you can give your names and you can reach out to me personally. I'll guide you on how the overseas law programs work. But in India, you can join law at 2 stages of your life. So now, so a lot of students are texting me. Somebody will have to help me how to read the text, because I'm not very
Sure,
familiar.
sir. Yes, sir. We'll take that up in the Q&A session. That's not an issue.
Okay. So basically, you can join after class 12, or you can join after graduation. So 90% of people, 95% prefer to join after 12 because you save 1 year. You save 1 year because it's 3 plus 3. After graduation is 3 years plus 3 years, so you do about 6 years. But after 12th, you do about 5 years. The second thing is that the number of options for 5-year law in terms of universities are much more than 3 years. So for 3 years, there are limited top law schools available, but for 5 years, the choice is much more. So it's a wise idea to do a 5-year law degree instead of a 3-year, because of the following thing, and follow it up with an LLM overseas. This is the standard track that I advise all students to do. Do a BA or a BB LLB and follow it up with an LLM. Okay. So which are the law schools and how do you go about doing this, etc., etc. So the first thing is that CLAT, as all of you would know, there are about 27 law schools there in CLAT. And out of those 27, about 12, 13 or 14 of them are worth joining without any hesitation. So there are about 10 of them which have just joined, which have just formed now last couple of years, where one decides whether to join there or whether to join IP, whether to join Symbiosis. So that decision making is very important. It has to happen under proper guidance. What stage do you leave an NLU and go into a non-NLU law school? So and students and parents sometimes I feel need so much guidance on this issue, and I've advised students who've gotten through NLUs to opt out of them and join IP, and they're working brilliantly in law schools, in law firms like Amarchand Mangaldas, now getting about 4 or 5 lakhs a month. So it's not that if it's a non-NLU nothing's going to happen. So that's a misnomer that you need to get out. And if people are telling you this, then I can tell you they have no idea about law as a profession and they are not the right guide for it. But at what stage to opt for a non-NLU, that is what is the very important thing. I had this student from Sanskriti school, her name was Kavya, and she was with me about, I think, 12 years back, 2010 and 2011. And she got through top NLU and she got through IP. So because she is from Sanskriti and her father was an IS officer, so I knew that she would not be able to adjust to the crowd at that NLU. And I also knew her as a student, so I knew that she would get anxious very quickly. So I knew that the transition from school to law school may not be that easy for her. So I guided the father, so the father was a very senior government officer. I told him that better to put her in IP, she'll be in Delhi. We can monitor her transition for the next 1 year, 1.5 years, thereafter she'll be fine. So he went ahead and took my advice and we admitted her to IP University. And as I had anticipated, in the first year she had 2 backs in the first semester. In the second semester also she had 2 backs. Now anyhow, because I was there and some kind of academic tutoring could be made available, so we got that done and she cleared her backs. And second year onwards she became back on track and she started doing internships and she got a job with Amarchand Mangaldas right out of law school at about 1.5 lakh. So what I'm trying to tell you that of course law school is very important, but the second thing is the trajectory, that means the internships and the resume that you build through the law school also is extremely important. So at what stage do you opt out of the NLU system? Through the 27 NLU is something which you need to take proper guidance. It's not, and don't worry if you don't get through the CLAT, does not mean I've had hundreds of students who have joined Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard for their LLMs from IP University in Dwarka and the VIPS, which is in Pritampura. But unless I was to tell you, you would not believe that, or you wouldn't put that as part of your career plans. You'd say only National Law School Bangalore, other than nothing else. So that's not how your career planning has to happen. So CLAT has the 27 NLUs for which you have to, I think 15 of them are fine, 12 we decide what to do. The second thing is that NLU Delhi, KLIT. That's another very sought after thing. Third is IP University, which is taking through CLAT. In IP University, there are 2 law schools which are excellent. One is the one in Dwarka and the one which is VIPS. The others are like that only, that we decide one-to-one basis what to do, what not to do. And then you have Symbiosis. So Symbiosis has 2 excellent campuses. One is in Noida, one is in Pune. The Noida one, in my opinion, is more sought after because being close to NCR, you are able to attend conferences, you are able to do internships, you are able to do so many things which you cannot do once you're stuck, or once you're stuck in a campus of 50 acres outside the city. So then of course you have Jindal Global Law School. And the difficulty and the problem with Jindal Global Law School is the fee. I don't believe that an 8 lakhs a year fee is justified at that. If it was 3 lakhs, 3.5 lakhs, yes. I have a lot of students who join Jindal. I have a lot of students from Jindal who come to me for LLM guidance and they join top Ivy Leagues. But if you get a scholarship at Jindal, then it makes sense. Otherwise, my opinion, doesn't. So let's do the math. Okay. It's important to do economics and keep in mind the economics. So if you join IP, you pay about 90,000 per year. If you join Jindal, you pay about 10 times. So for a Jindal LLB, you're paying about 45 lakhs. For an IP LLB, you're paying about 4.5 lakhs, 5 lakhs. So you save 40 lakhs. That 40 lakhs can be utilized to do an LLM from a Ivy League law school or a Russell Group. That's Oxford, Cambridge, UCL, King's. So are you seeing the same amount of fee, but you're able to pick up a LLM from the top 10, top 15 world law ranked universities? This is called intelligent planning. You always do intelligent planning in any career. So the objective should be to try and do an LLM from a top law university. And a lot of times people ask me, sir, what is the most important So the advantage of doing an LLM from an overseas university is now all of you have friends now in your classes. So where are your classmates from? Probably Dwarka, probably West Delhi, right? So what is your network area right now? West Delhi, maybe Delhi. Imagine if your classmates were from all across the world. And after finishing education, each of them would go back to their country. In a year's time, you would connect with 100 lawyers or lawyers from 100 countries or 50 countries. Imagine how much advantage that will give you as a lawyer practicing in your law firm and as a lawyer maybe who wants to start their own practice later on. Okay, so this is what sort of one has to keep in mind, that in these 4-5 law schools you have to be within these law schools. Now what has happened is, for the class 11 students, the CLAT 2023 is now preponed and is now going to be held in December 2022. So in December you have 2 CLAT exams. One is in May, which is for the current 12 students, and one is in December, which is for the 11th student. So the 11 students need to start off their preparation ASAP, because the exam is preponed by about 5 months. So 5 months preponement is quite a bit. So CLAT is in December, but all the other exams is in May of 2023. So like I said, it's very important to do proper planning, intelligent planning, so that you don't get stressed out and everything happens in proper time. And for the class 12 students, they now, I think all of you might be aware that of the CUCET which has come up. So now your Delhi University admissions will not happen through your class 12, but will happen through a CUCET exam. Now what happens is, so when you're preparing for law, automatically you're prepared for CUCET. Because CUCET is just a smaller version. It's about 50% of the syllabus of CLAT is CUCET. So what a lot of students are doing now, we are getting a lot of students who are taking admission in our institute in the last about 15 days. What they're doing is they're preparing for law and the CUCET is included. So what are they doing? So what I advise them was, keep your options open. If through one preparation you're able to prepare for law plus Delhi University, why not do it? So a lot of students are joining and keeping their options open like that. So coming back to the exam gateway. Now there are basic 5 subjects which are there in any law exam. NLU Delhi has just changed their pattern about 5-6 days back, in which they've removed maths, quant now from the exam. So now those of you, I know a lot of law aspirants are brilliant mathematicians. I've seen that they don't like maths at all, to the extent that students come to me saying, sir, if we leave the full maths section in the CLAT, can we crack it? I said, no problem, I'll tell you how to crack it. So they are overjoyed. So the intelligent, brilliant Einsteins who want to do law are overjoyed that NLU Delhi has released maths from there. So NLU Delhi has no maths now, so you can relax and not have sleepless nights. The basic subjects is a bucket of 5. So that's GK, legal, logic, VR, and quant. So these are the 5 subjects which are there.
Only NLU Delhi?
And only NLU Delhi is
not for CLAT otherwise.
So, but even for CLAT, I've had students. So last year I had a student who secured All India rank 5 in CLAT, and he left. There were 13 marks of maths. He left about 6 marks, and still he got a rank 5. So it has to do with a lot of strategy. So what now I do at AB tutorials is, of course, I take limited classes. The important topics, I take lectures myself. Otherwise, there's faculty. But what I really work on with students is strategies for exam preparation and techniques, which you will not believe. Just an alteration of the number of questions to attempt in the paper causes a jump of anywhere from 15 to 30 marks. I've seen this practically happening. And the entire merit list of CLAT is about 15 to 17 marks. So imagine just altering the number of questions to attempt, and I'm sure that there'll be a lot of students here who are interested in preparing for law. So let me give you a 2-minute illustration on this. You'll be surprised. So 150 questions, right? Out of 150 questions, you know 100, you attempt 100, everything is good, you got 100 marks, right? Another student who's working under specialized strategy guidance with me, what they would do is they would attempt 140. So 100 they would know and 40 they would attempt under a specific technique which is taught to them by me. Let's say out of 40 questions, if your luck is going good, 20/20 is a normal thing to have, 20 out of 40. 20 out of 40 would mean how many marks? So 20 that you got wrong divided by 4 is about 5 marks. So 15 marks you've jumped up just by altering your exam technique, and 15 marks will cause 1,000 ranks to change. So I mean, I wish, see why I take these school sessions and I don't allow faculty or resource people to do it, because I know that I want to reach out to as many students as I can and help them, you know. So even if students, some of them don't join our academy, at least they will take this guidance and they'll implement it some form or the other. So at least they will get some benefit, you know. So therefore the exam techniques is extremely important. So the 5 subjects are GK, legal, logic, verbal, math. And just to share with you that Dr. Ranveer Singh, who was the founder of the National Law School Dwarka, Vice Chancellor, and me, we go back about 20 years. So we are very close friends for 20 years. And when Nalsar, Hyderabad, is founded by him, from that time we are friends. And I suggested to him before he retired, I said, why don't you remove maths from the paper? And this year they have implemented on that, because law aspirants don't need maths. You need logic for decision making, so that you can have quick decision making, but you don't need maths, you know. So why to burden them with maths when they don't need maths? So these 5 things are, you know, GK, legal, logic, VRM. So this is what you know, it's these 5 subjects which have to be handled in a balanced manner. The sequence of attempting this in the exam, this itself causes a jump of about 10 to 12 marks. So imagine, without preparing, just altering your exam technique, you're jumping 20 marks. That means you're jumping about 2,000 rank, depending on which spectrum of the merit list you're at. So it's very important to not only have strategy in your academic preparation, but also have strategy in exam taking, in terms of preparing, how to balance between school and law prep. This is another thing which I guide now, because I know that how much pressure can a student take over the so many years of experience. I know what is the time to dilute the pressure, what is the time. So like a simple thing like splitting up your subjects. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday you do certain set of subjects. Tuesday, Thursday you do certain set of subjects. Saturday, Sunday you do certain set of subjects. So it's you know, for a student to sort of plan this is difficult, because they're doing it for the first time. But we know that what exactly it needs to be planned out from. So it's very important that all of you not only just prepare in time, but also prepare properly, so that there are no bottlenecks in your school happening because of your law prep, and otherwise in your law prep because of school. In terms of the law schools, of course, the traditionally ranked law schools are Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Bhopal, Jodhpur, you know. But what I'm trying to tell you is, it's no longer, this was an old thought process. Now these law schools that are coming up are exceptional in their approach. So you don't have to think that if there's no NLU means nothing is happening. Also, the IIM Rohtak has started an IPL program. It's an integrated program of law, in which, you know, you 5 years you do a BBA plus LLB. Like that, there's so many other smart options which are there. Like UPS has these specific emphasis. LLB is called a BBA, BA, LLB with energy law. So all the energy companies go to UPS to pick up lawyers because they have experience in the energy sector also. So like that, it requires a certain amount of proper decision making and on how and where and which law school you can get into, whichever is the best for you. So this is briefly what I thought that I will share with you and I'll interact with you today about law and of course it's an ongoing field. I could have a very long session with you, but to start with, this is something that will help you to at least have a perspective that yes, I've got law as my first option. Yes, I've got law as my second option. So you should keep it as an option. See, that's called intelligent or smart planning. Don't close down any option at this stage for you. Keep the options open. Who knows what your thought process will decide. The DPS Archipuram topper in science had come to me for counseling many years back through the principal, and the principal called me up saying, "Sir, please counsel him. He's my topper." And so I told him, I said, "Why don't you keep the option open?" He said, "Sir, but I'm preparing for IIT." So I said, "What's the harm in keeping the option open?" And he kept the option open, and unfortunately, he didn't get through IIT, and in CLAT, he got top 5 rank all India. And he joined National Law School, Bangalore. And he came to me, he said, "Sir, I can't even begin to thank you for the foresight that you have. That I could never have believed that I will ever join law as a profession. But you said just keep your option open and I followed you blindly." Now the other thing is, just 2 minutes about flexibility and then we can have interaction and other things. So like there was another student who had come to me also a couple of years back who was a very creative student. Wanted to play guitar, music, and told me, "Sir, law is such a dry profession. What will I do? And my mother wants me to have the legal law profession." And I told him, his name is Ruben. So I told him, I said, "Ruben, you go ahead and take the exam on my saying." He said, "Sir, I'm trusting you." I said, "Don't worry. I'm trustworthy, so there's nothing to worry." So anyways, he took the exam under my saying, and then he got into IP, and then he called me, said, "I've taken it under your now, tell me what to do." So I said, "Now start your law program." He said, "Sir, are you sure?" I said, "You go ahead, don't worry about it." He started that. Every year I made him intern with a music company. And as he graduated, he picked up a job with Sony Music. And now he currently Vice President Sony Entertainment for League. Young boy. And he even calls me now and he tells me, he said, "Sir, everything I get, what I want in life. Monday through Friday, I'm earning a couple of lakhs a month. He's earning about 5-6 lakhs a month. Or maybe more than that, I didn't ask him. And Saturday, Sunday, I'm free to travel with the musicians. And, I love playing guitar, so I'm able to play with them. Monday through Friday, the interaction I have with artists, I've become so close to them, they trust me so much. Some of my best friends are, Arijit Singh. One day he called me saying, "Sir, I'm traveling with Arijit Singh. Would you like him to sing for you for half an hour?" I said, "Thank you very much for your this thing, but I'm good." So what I'm trying to tell you is, this is what makes law such a draw. The flexibility of operating in the area of your interest and choice and passion without having any climb down on your professional front. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining the wondrous field of law in such great detail. We really appreciate your precious inputs, and it has been a mesmerizing experience listening to you. And before we open the floor for questions, I would now like to address some of the questions that were sent in our chat box. So I think the very first question is from Tripti, who asks that as you talked about flexibility in law profession, so what if one has a certified law degree but eventually develops an interest in astronomy? What will such a person do?
So do you know that there's something called space law? Of course, like I said, I don't have I'm not very familiar how to run the PPT on this platform. Otherwise, I would have shown you. Air and space law. All these organizations, ISRO, NASA, do you think they don't have legal departments? So, for Tripti, that there is so much in air and space law, the satellites that are going, it's part of international law. You send a satellite into space, the other country sends a satellite, and the satellites collide. What happens then? Who's responsible? What are the rules? Who will pay damages? What is going on? All that is part of air and space law. So if you're interested in astronomy, I think you have a brilliant future ahead. Please go ahead and opt for law under proper guidance and then come into proper career planning and proper guidance, and I will show you whichever is the way forward for you. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir. I hope that answers your question, Tripti. The next question we have from Naina Rana. She says that I'll pursue law after 12th, but I've opted for economics as a subject instead of political science. Will it create an issue for her in future for taking admission in law colleges?
Not at all. Not at all. See the structure of the paper. Of course, it's always suggested that you do a proper structured preparation through an academy so that whatever are the gaps that are there, they are sort of taken care of. But there's no problem at all if you don't have Paul Science. I told you that this DPS Argyprom boy, he was a science student. I have so many students who come who are science students, commerce students. It doesn't matter. If you don't have Paul Science, there's nothing to worry.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope that answers the question. The next question we have is from Srijani. She asked that, sir, is law the best option for UPSC IAS? And for IAS, if she does her graduation in law in foreign, will that be valid for her?
Yeah, so two things. First is, in terms of UPSC, what is the advantage of law? So I have, I think, about over 100 students of mine who are currently in IAS and IPS after clearing UPSC through. So one of the main issues about a UPSC preparation is that it's very long term. And what happens is that at any stage you can get stuck. You may get stuck at prelims, you can make your CSAT, or you may get stuck at main, you may get stuck at interview levels. So there's a little bit of anxiety involved. There's a little bit of anxiety involved for students who are aspirants for UPSC. Now, as a law graduate, why you have a very strong advantage over the other people is because your anxiety levels are almost nil. Why? Because even at any stage you get stuck, you can pick up a job for about $1.5 lakh. That is a very important factor in improving your performance. I've had students who got in the top 25 in the UPSC also. Some of them are from NLU Delhi. So I guided them like that. So for law, because you're a law graduate, so you can get a job anytime, so you're relaxed. And that helps you to achieve or to perform better. Second thing is, when you have law as a main subject, as a mains, law is a very scoring subject because that's all you've done for 5 years. So your mastery over law, if you're a 5-year law program student, is very, very strong. So these are the two factors which combine and which can actually get you a very strong positive result in the UPSC.
Thank you so much for your insight on this, sir. The last question that we have for the day is by Sebya Dhar. Could you please explain the difference between the LSAT and CLAT?
Yes, and before I forget, the previous student also asked me if she can go abroad. So what happens is that as per the Bar Council of India regulations, in India you need 5 years after 12th. But in UK, you can get a law degree in 3 years. So if you go abroad for 3 years, you can get a bachelor's degree, you can come back. But if you want to practice both ends, that is UK and India, then after 3 years you have to do another 2 years, which you have different options to do it. You can come back to India, do a bridge course at NLU Delhi. You can do a LLM in UK for 1 year and then come back to do LLM bridge course in India for 1 year. So like that, there are different options. But yes, it's a valid degree. You can go abroad, but just make sure that if you're going abroad, then you please get in touch with me so that you don't get misguided anywhere. Okay. Another student asked for what is the difference between CLAT and LSAT. So LSAT is only for General Global Law School. CLAT is of course for the NLUs. Second thing is, in CLAT there are 5 subjects: GK, Legal, Logic, Verbal and Quant. GK, Legal, Logic, Verbal and Quant. Whereas for LSAT you have primarily 3 subjects. One is reading comprehension, other is logical reasoning, and the third is analytical reasoning. So these are 3 subjects which are there, and of course LSAT preparation is very different, Now in CLAT, what happens is that you have 3, so you have out of these 5, logic, BR, a critical reasoning interface. So that means okay, so somebody is saying, how can I get in touch with you, sir? You can Google my name. You'll get my telephone number on the internet. Some over enthusiastic students uploaded my mobile number on the internet saying, if anytime you want to get in touch, and sir, this is the number. I made them take that number down, but before that it had been circulated all over the place. You could get in touch with your school and they'll point you towards me. I'm fearful of giving my mobile number on the thing. I may have 100 calls at my doorstep, but just reach out to Ritu ma'am. She's a coordinator at the academy, and she'll put you on to me. And if you want to reach out to me directly, let me share my number, since so it's 9958217999. But just WhatsApp me because calls are difficult for me to take. 9958217999. Okay, so I think I've given you a bonus today in the morning. Yes, there's some other questions.
So you've cleared everything so well, and that concludes the Q&A session for the day. Also, attendees to note that sir's coordinates are on the meeting chat. We would like to thank Mr. Batara for his invaluable insights on the subject matter and for resolving related queries. We really appreciate your insights on the future opportunities in this discipline, sir. You sharing success stories of your own students make these feats seem achievable, and we feel highly motivated after this webinar. We hope that this session will help students make an informed choice in the near future with respect to navigating through the process of choosing a suitable career. I would also like to thank all attendees for participating in this inspiring and interactive webinar. Also to note that the feedback link is there in the chat. We request all attendees to please submit their feedback there. Also, this is not all for today. I am sure we're all looking forward to the next event, the panel discussion. Take a quick break and join us for an interesting conversation in exactly 5 minutes from now. Check your groups for the link. Thank you, sir. Thank you all panelists. Thank you all attendees. Thank you to all.
I want to thank your principal again for the interest to make this possible. Like I said, for me, time is a big issue, and I'm not able to take out time. But because of the personal interest of the principal, so I want to thank, and I wish all students will appreciate the efforts which have been made by your principal to get me over here today. So thank you very much, and I wish all the wonderful success and happiness and good health to all of you, and may you realize the best of your potential and be happy, successful, and show others the way also. Take care, all the best.
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am. It's our immense pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you. Have a great day.